Okay, hi everyone, and thank you for joining today's session for on AI for Better. Today we have our speaker Denny, who is a Microsoft MVP and who is going to be taking us through all the topic today. And today's session is going to be 1 hour, and we'll have a Q&A session as well after the session. And a few things about today's session that I wanted to discuss before I give the mic to Denny is that recording will be available and it will be available in our YouTube channel, which you can watch whenever that you get time. And secondly, there is certificate of participation, which is given to after the session is concluded. And this will be a form which you can fill out and it's completely automated. Once you fill out, you will receive certificate of participation in the email that you provided in that form, so it doesn't have any interaction that between the person, so you just need to fill out and it will directly go to your email. So yeah, that's mainly all the information about today's session, and without any more delay we can get into the session, and I'm moving the mic to Denny and take over with the session. Over to you.
Hello. Okay. Hello. I'm very, very honored to speak from the puny tech community or the Asian community. It's virtual. I really hope someday I will be there to visit your awesome region. So today the talk is AI for the better, and it's extra power after releasing GPT and large language model technology. And when I say AI for the better, I really mean AI for the better quality of life, the better life of people with disabilities. So that's the whole talk is what can we do to help people with disabilities with awesome technology like artificial intelligence. I had the same talk, not the same talk, but I had my first talk about that topic was AI for the better. And I also give it for the same community. And today, the last slide will be references to the recording and also the slide because it's really an ongoing story about the new topics. And those topics extend each other. So it's not a replacement. So it's not that you see, it's not like this talk is version 2 and version 1 is outdated. No, I really want to say it um, 2 times at this time here and also at the end of the talk because I will talk about very important concept I spoke about in the first talk, and I don't have space in 1 hour to repeat all the stuff and also give all the new stuff. But definitely, I gave some amazing insights about text to speech. One of the examples, and this, for example, is not included in this talk because I wanted to have 1 hour just for the new stuff as possible. So if you have time afterwards, you definitely should watch the other talk too. It's even great, and it's not because GPT and LLM tech is here that the other tech isn't working anymore. Not at all. Um, so we're going to have a small intro. We're going to talk about a little bit about accessibility and disabilities. We're going to talk about Azure OpenAI, about general purpose tech, and I love the. You can also say GPT. I love a name and acronym humor. And we're going to talk about how can we, which daily difficulties might people with disabilities have, and then I'm going to inspire you to hack for the better, to hack those difficulties away with the AI. Um, and who am I? I am Danny de Klerk, and I am president, developer, IT coach at Dsoft, a nonprofit in Belgium. And I'm also Microsoft MVP, very proud of this. I'm on Twitter, on X, you should need to say right now, Danny de Klerk, and hashtag dreaming is believing about my speaker dreams. Our website is also important. Our new website, where.dsoft.be, because the reason is we also do it international right now. So we have an English part of the website, and we do help companies all over the world with implementing accessibility and inclusion. So it's not that in the past that the DSOT was only products in our own region. We are everywhere right now because we want to make a better world. Um, Next. So start talking about accessibility and disabilities. So, and I start with talking about an implementation of the Microsoft Disability Spectrum, but I made some differences. I made some changes, to be honest. I added some stuff. I renamed some stuff. Most of all, I added some stuff. So, in the disability spectrum, we can say we have touch, see, hear, speak, cognition, and mental health. And each of those six major categories has a subcategories. It's very important that there's also a difference between what's always there and also what is temporarily. So here is in the purple or with temporarily as a T as in blue, also with the T between brackets. I did that way of coloring, but adding a letter and afterwards. That the reason is for accessibility for people who are colorblind. Also, a lot of male people, also in the tech industry, are colorblind. So that's also accessibility. Adding also a letter and not only a color in the index is making stuff accessible. And then we have situational. Situational are officially, you can say, not diagnosed disabilities, but in the moment they are, those people in the moment they are there can have difficulties. So they have the same limitation as people with disabilities on that moment in this situation. There's a full spectrum, but I will talk about today a lot about cognition and mental health. So, because a lot of ITers don't know a lot, for example, about learning disabilities, Down syndrome. We will talk about this starting the next slide, but also memory difficulties. And this can be situational and temporal. By example, a person really going to a panic attack, so there's also a link with mental health. This can limit the memory, your executive functioning. We will talk also a lot today about executive functioning, because this is something you can really assist with Copilot stuff and the AI stuff. But it can also be temporal for a longer period. For example, if you are going into times of if you're getting older, if you're going to times of dementia, by example, it's not for your whole life, but it comes on a later part in your life. Then we have mental health. I included neurodiversity, anxiety and stress. It also can be situational, temporal, or permanent. And in these times, we need to talk also about depression and burnout. We don't talk too much about it, but we will talk about, can AI help with this? And it will. Otherwise, this should not be included in my talk here. Let's talk about learning disabilities. The reason I put a big emphasis about this, because in our industry, developers, let's say the high tech industry, we don't see those people a lot in our life, and we don't understand this. But these are people with the severe disability who are diagnosed with it, who have both a significant limitation in intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior. So intellectual functioning, that is also called intelligence, it is the mental capacity. And so this also have a direct impact. So it is related to the IQ score, IQ quotient, the intelligence quotient. And they compare it with children. If you have a normal child without disabilities, you can say that the quotient of an adult with that disability may be the same as a child of 2 to 8 years old. Each disability is a spectrum. Some person with a learning disability will have an IQ age of 2, some will be 8, and everything in between. But this also results into difficulties with adaptive behavior. And those have conceptual skills, social skills, and practical skills. Conceptual skills are concepts, by example, language, literacy. We will talk about this today. Money, time and numbers, social skills, social responsibility, self-esteem, practical skills, activities in daily living, personal care, healthcare. So there are people with learning disabilities, a lot of them, not there are, a lot of them, by example, are not able to read. They are not blind. They see everything on the screen. They see the characters, but their brain doesn't transform it into words. Like we can. compare it with a child, a very, very young child. They are not blind, they seeing the letters, they are seeing the communication, but it doesn't come into their brain. It doesn't come into their living environment. Um, Mental health. First of all, this is not a complete list. Only a very brief introduction into this topic. We have people living with stress, anxiety, depression, burnout. People may need have a lot of need for confirmations, so you need to confirm a lot more. Yes, the event will happen today. Yes, you are allowed to come to the event today. Need for motivation. Some people are, due to their different way of brain working, not really motivated to do some stuff. And exhausted people are can be exhausted really fast. Yes, we will talk about this later today, how we can help those people with artificial intelligence and GPT stuff. And otherwise, that should not be in my introduction. The same for neurodiversity, again, not a complete list. We have autism, they need more need for structure, confirmations. We call it also a slower stimuli brain response time. So something happened to you, something you read, something you heard, something you think about, did this, something your brain need to respond, need to compute your brain. And the time the stimuli comes into the brain until it's computed is slower by people with autism. People with dyslexia have difficulties with writing, grammar, reading, spelling, but it's not the same as they don't have an intellectual disability. So they are not less in IQ score. So it's not the same as people with learning disabilities. Dyscalculia is the same as dyslexia, but that is with numbers. So they can see numbers in between each other. For example, if we see 264, they can read 276 or 726. So the same letters in a different order. And then we have ADHD, where we will also talk a little bit linked to AI later on today. But at this time, I already skipped this topic about disabilities. This talk is really a mixture of topics in between each other, but that was some basis you needed to know. And now we're going to look to Azure OpenAI, to the technology, how it works. I will do some live demos. And later on in this talk, you will see everything will be glued together, how we are using this technology, how we can use those technologies to help people with disabilities. This will be the end of this talk. We will glue everything together, so it should be fun. So, introduction into Azure OpenAI. This is Microsoft OpenAI solution for developers. So you have OpenAI. So if you go to openai.com, this is a product for end users. But Microsoft, with their collaboration, have their own implementation and provide it to developers. That means that we can include this in our own software without manually going to OpenAI, the website. And even more than this, we have our own way of paying, our own way of processing the data, a lot of more. So in AI, you can create a resource, an OpenAI specific resource, and then there's a specific portal for this. There you have playgrounds, fine tuning, training, and also the very important part, integration with your own data. This is not possible with the general public purpose OpenAI service. That's the reason it's really important the difference. And you can train and fine tune your own models, and then you can export this as an API, for example, as a REST API, and then use the whole thing in your own products that you deliver to your own end users. So what do we have? And though this, if you go to the portal, we have some stuff that we can play with. We have the chat. The chat function in the portal is equivalent to chat GPT interfaces. So these are bot interfaces. These are the available models today to deploy. So I added September 2023 because people watching this talk later on anywhere, the talks are always online. And the AI scene is moving very, very fast. So the chance is big. If you watch it a half year later or a year later, this will not, the numbers here will not be that relevant anymore because there will be way more available. So currently we have GPT 3.5, but they call it GTP 35 just to eliminate the comma, the turbo, and we have the GPT 3.5 16K. And here you already see a little example how we can use it for the better. So I ask, hello, can I ask you something? And the bot is directly saying, of course, I'm here to help. What's on your mind? I say, I feel overwhelmed today. She said, or he said, or it said, I'm sorry to hear that you are feeling overwhelmed. Would you like to talk about what might be causing you feel this way? What you see here right now, she really acts, or it acts, yeah, doesn't matter, like a therapist. You can all configure this if you have your own implementation. So you will see later in the live demo, you can say act as a. It can be a therapist, it can be a doctor, it can be an engineer. So, and it really will change the way it works. So we have completions, that is equivalent for the GPT without the chat, just the general um, providing lots of text, providing lots of buzz. So we can generate text like articles, mails, blogs, poems, poetry, generate lists, IDs, name tools. Great to generate some IDs, but it can also really explain stuff, and that's really amazing. It can explain code, of course, but we will see more about code in another part, the codex stuff, also in this talk, but also science behavior. To be honest, we cannot know everything, and some things in this world, we hear a lot of jargon, and if you look online, it takes way more cognitive workload and brain capacity to find the right website, the right resources. So you can really ask about stuff about things working, and it will explain it in a human way of talking. And then I have DALI. And so it can generate images based on prompts. Fine-tuning prompts and settings you can do in the portal. And of course, you can export what you generated. So here you see an amazing image of a theme park and a lake that doesn't exist. Oh my God. So here you also see the prompt that I created. Generate me a view of looking through windows and seeing a theme park and a lake. You see, I made a typo in the prompt. I copied the exact prompt. I say to a windows and not to a window. So I used the plural version. It shouldn't be, but it's still working. So you can make mistakes. And it's amazing because you will later see like people with dyslexia or people with learning disabilities, they have, they mostly always have very, very big difficulties with writing it right, with spelling, with writing the right words. And sometimes, like in a normal search machine, if you don't write it right, it will not work. So you can make typos, you may say stupid things, it's all okay. It will work around this. Again, there for DALI, you have the playground, you can, for everything, not only for the DALI, for the text. So for the completions, for the chat, and for the DALI, you can really play with the models into the playground part. You can fine tune it and apply some more configurations. Then you have your management. You can create complete deployments, implement and create and link the models that you need, add custom data, really important, configure content filters, very important, what they can say, what they can't say, how well you moderate this stuff, and configure quotas. Quotas is to the part where the money, where it will be spent. How many calls, how many letters, how many API tokens, specific GPT tokens will be counted? How many do you allow that they count? So let's explore Azure OpenAI. So here I'm in Azure, and I already went to the OpenAI studio and start with chat in the playground. So here, this is the playground part, you see. And as you see, you can use a system message template. So let's say, yeah, that's not here. That is just, I mean, system message. You are an AI assistant that helps people to find information. Not today. You are a therapist. No, act as a therapist. And we're gonna to save this. Yes. So we have our personalized therapist. The deployment here, you see, this already needed to deploy, so I already did it on before. That is the OpenAI US chat turbo. We also have some parameters, the temperature. We will make it the lower, the more polite, and the higher, the more it boils, the less polite. We do it, let's say, 0.25, I think, for a therapy should be great. Let's try. Hello there. Hello there. I feel stressed. That's not true, to be honest. I am sorry to hear this. Stress is a common feeling that many people experience. Can you tell me a bit about what's been causing you to feel stressed today? Okay, I know I don't see you. Let's imagine that I speak in person. I see you in the room, and you are all thinking and lagging with your head. No, you shouldn't ask it to a bot. Oh my God. You will see later why sometimes you should ask it for little stress. And what it does here now, it says me really to me, it's a human thing. It's a common thing. And it doesn't automatically dramatize it. This can be a reason for people to go to a therapist later or alternative healthcare. But let's say we clear chat, we don't talk about stress. We're going to ask an explanation. Can explain me about hmm, autism. I'm on the spectrum myself. I didn't say that at the beginning, so I can really judge if it's true or not. It's really interesting what it will say. Autism or autism spectrum disorder. So what is this here? It's really explain it on a very, very human way. Normally, you should need to go to Wikipedia, or maybe there are some government websites about health and mental health, and about this website, and some peer support groups. Here, it really gives a description, an explanation, as you would ask it to somebody else. And that's what I really love. So this is the chat. It's quite right. It's right. Completion. Here I will, so this is more the generated stuff, and I will generate a poem about India. India include tigers because I love tigers and lions. Tigers and lions. And lions. Why not? Generate. Yeah. So here you see that's not right. To be honest, this is hallucinating. This is doesn't generating a poem that at this time doesn't anything that I can use. I don't need a workout if I ask a poem. So this is not working. try to regenerate. Let's try. Okay, so doesn't work at all. What can be the problem here? It can be that. Awesome, thank you, Rakibul. Uh, what we see right now, I may have the wrong model because that I call hallucination. So we are going to the models. And let's see, maybe we need to deploy another model. Maybe we need to do deployable. We will deploy the text query, and we call it DD. It's also go really, really fast. It's already created my deployment. So you will see in deployments, this is here. I will go to completions and I will clean this rubbish. I will just Control X cut this. I will use query and I will paste. And I hope I will have a prompt. Yeah, I love this. So what you're seeing right here, the wrong model can cause lots of hallucination, the wrong purpose. So if you really want to build something for people, you really, really need to test and fine tune the model, make the right choice because it was a this is really important. So India, the land of the tigers and the lions, it's a land of mystery and of legend, a land of beauty and of terror, a land of history and of the future. Its people are diverse and its culture rich, and its landscapes are breathtaking, and its people are friendly. I love India. Its people and its culture. I hope, yeah, that one is really, really true. And I hope to visit it someday soon. Yeah, that's really, really true. But again, what has this to do with accessibility? Yeah, let's look autism. To be honest, I have difficulties with marketing. So I am DDsoft is a business generating generating advices advices on accessibility. We do consulting. Write me a a, a um a an introduction to sell the business. Okay, generate this for me, please. We are a business that provides accessibility advice and consulting. We have years of experience working with businesses to make them more accessible, and we can help you to make your business more accessible for everyone. This is great. Why? It's not because you are a developer. It's not because you are an entrepreneur that you are a marketing person. This, I'm quite sure this will be more um, search engine optimized than I would write it myself. And then we have DALI generating. So I just want to have generate a poster, a wait, all the stuff you see here right now, you can export as an API, so your own software can use, and that's amazing. And you can have your own custom data. Oh, look at this line. Oh, I love it. And you can do another iteration. It's crazy. I love it, to be honest. You will see later on how we can use it for the better. So this is the GP, the OpenAI stuff. Let's continue the presentation. The next part is about general purpose technology. Again, GPT. Yeah, playing work, playing game. Um, so OpenAI, ChatGPT. So here we are not talking via Azure, but just going to openai.com or installing the GPT app. Asking questions to a bot. Give answer, and here it's really important, in human sentences. Uses context. We can also call this few-shot prompting. Important to know, there's a cutoff the internet since September 2021. So the data is outdated. Can we use it for the better? Of course. Limit executive workload. And write with good spelling and give ideas. So here I asked about the provinces of Belgium. Mostly the provinces of a country is something that doesn't change that fast. And then we have something else. Bing ChatGPT. What's the difference? A lot. It's the same way of working. It's the GPT style of working, but it's included recent data, and you can ask questions also and get reasoning. Show resources. Also important, the resources. Where does it come from? The same use cases, the same kind of difficulties, but here the example is I didn't ask about the regions and the provinces, but I asked about the population of Belgium. I think population data need to be updated. And here it's already said, as of September 3rd, 2023, the population of Belgium is da 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 da. So that's a big difference. Like here and open the general ChatGPT, you can ask basic information that doesn't update very fast. Here you can really go for recent data. And then we have GitHub Copilot, code assistance, translate programming languages and write Boiling code. Oh my God, do I say that Copilot is for people with disabilities? No. I say that I love inclusion, and in an inclusive world, people with and without disabilities are using the same technology. And advices are adjusted to also give ideas to people with and without disabilities. And I talk about myself. As I said, I'm very honest about it. I'm on the autism spectrum. Some things in code is for me very, very difficult. By example, I am a .NET developer. I am so bad in JavaScript. It's not that I am in JavaScript. I don't have it. The changes in the syntax and the structure for me is really, really hard to understand, to apply, to learn, to exercise. So if I write something as a .NET developer and I need some JavaScript, it's amazing to ask it to Copilot. So here we have a very short, quick short.js. But the same goes for boilerplate code. Want to add unit test? Of course, you will need to rewrite everything, but it will reduce the mental capacity. It will automate you with structure. It will automate you with, I call it reducing boring parts, but also new concepts. I love it. And then we have the Microsoft Designer, Flyers. As I said, I am not a designer. And sometimes we need to sell ourselves. I need to sell myself more. So Microsoft Designer here, I love it. Make flyers and designs, make cars, leaflets. But that is really good for people with fantasy, and for entrepreneurs, for solo developers, but without designer skills. For example, everyone, but it does not need to be on the autism spectrum or the neurodiversity spectrum, but it can be. So here we have the prompt, make a flyer for a .NET community event about accessibility. Read here again, a little bit of hallucination, because I asked about an accessibility event on September the 20th. The main speaker will be Denny de Klerk. I don't see a date, I don't see my name. And I added my picture myself in the preparation phase. So let's do some demos again. Let's start with ChatGPT. So I opened into ChatGPT, the portal. So there's a cutoff here. What are the countries of Asia? Asia is the largest and most, okay. So the home, and here it already says it. It's really really clear and it's in the company, and I love it. If and I, it's not love it. It should be AI models should be transparent. This is transparent. My last knowledge update September 21st. The countries, and here again that political boundaries can change and again. So that's also really really needed, I guess. Um, I see here that in the chat that the tiger is a national animal in Bangladesh. That's really interesting. What is the national animal of Bangladesh? Very interesting. The Bengal tiger, the royal Bengal tiger. Oh, of course. I only see a Bengal tiger in the zoo and in a theme park quite close to where I live. Amazing. And I'll compare it with Bing ChatGPT, and we can go precise. You can adjust some things, and we will ask about of. We are in the team of Bangladesh at this time. It cannot be always India because it should be discrimination because Asia is more than India. You also need to be aware of this. So the current population is, and I will not read it out that number in English because I'm not native English speaking. As September 13th, yeah, quite up to date. It also say the date. I'm very, very interested. How many tigers do live? So here, I'm quite sure that this is way less cognitive workload than using it, starting in Google or Bing, and then going to Wikipedia and going to other websites. So I estimated around 114. Amazing, to be honest. And then we still have the DALI. Let's look at them. I already did the DALI. We need the code. And this file will be code test that I prepared. I will just I will just do it in C# here. I will add a file, new file, tiger.cs. So my co-pilot is not having fun today. Okay, that's our live demos. let's go to the end of the talk, to the other part of the talk. Can happen. So these are the demos. Okay. So this is the general purpose technology. So let's talk about daily difficulties that people with disabilities might have. Oh, 20 minutes, amazing, just for all the rest of the talk. So literacy. So as you've seen, some people really have difficulties with literacy, difficulties with reading. So an example, important information from the government, for example. How do we translate those information for people who are illiterate? But the same from information about jobs, about leisure, can we help with building those stuff more accessible so that those people are less dependent of other people? And that's really, really important because we are moving into the time that less of those people are going to specialized clinics and institutions, so they have more quality of life. But the world also, or with software, the world need to be accessible for those. Money, but a lot of people are talking about we need to digitalize money. We need to go to a complete cashless society. We need to be in mind that there are pros about cashless, like sustainability and the limits of infection and diseases. But there are some big cons too, like it's not tangible. And one of the biggest difficulties people with learning disabilities might have, like people with Down syndrome, is tangibility. So if it's not tangible, it's a way more difficult concept to learn. And what about little givers from parents, friends? What about if their bank account is blocked? Because without bad intent, of course, it's all good to prevent malicious things. But what about non-malicious things by people with less abilities? What are we doing with this? Daily living. Can we assist people making daily choices? Can we help with the right purchases in the grocery store? Uh, Humidity and temperature. That's something very honest for you. So how complex disabilities can be. So I am a person with autism. For me, that is very, very intangible. It's not tangible. If I see how many degrees is outside of the humidity, I am always choosing the wrong clothes. Sometimes I just call to my dad, Dad, what should I wear today? It's crazy. It's terrible. I'm a speaker about IT. I'm a developer. I travel the world, and I need to ask to my dad, what should I wear? So that's the thing. Some things are not to do with intelligence, but it's way broader. And it would be a dream to have an app just saying, what should I wear today? Okay, just wear that. Okay, awesome. Feelings and emotions. Can we train those? Can we describe emotions? And then a negative mood alarm. If we build an application that people that have an idea of the people's mental health situation, about their emotion situation, can we trigger something if there are too many days they really feel down? Can we prevent happy news on that days? That's really something an algorithm should do. An algorithm shouldn't only provide stuff to sell stuff, but also to help people. Of course, and sometimes bad news is more something to sell. For example, sell a security system is also needed, but and some things are really, really needed in use. But sometimes just enlightening the users can really decrease a lot of depressions and stress and anxiety disorders. Dependencies, as I said, do we really need to want to go to a, do we really want to go to a time again that people with severe disabilities or without severe disabilities but with light disabilities are needing to go again to institutions, clinics, or can we help to train them more themselves? Overprotecting parents. To be honest, I have the question, are there even any taboos? Unfortunately, they are. But if there is a taboo, you can break it. So, and how are we going to break the taboos? With hacking solutions that helps people with disabilities. And talk about taboo. Let's talk about deepfakes. And let's talk about, deepfakes for the better. Danny, what are you saying? Yeah, I'm saying this. Deepfakes really have a negative reputation. Although I really do believe, and it's not a belief, it's a fact, technology in fact is neutral. And what is built right now with deepfakes are really, really bad stuff. But the technology, but this is the people giving the the instructions to it to generate it. And I really believe that you can, it's just a fact, it's not a belief, you can also use the same deepfake technology in combination with rehabilitation, motivation, in combination with therapy. And of course, the deepfakes you can use with or without VR. But maybe this kind of abstract, so we will go into deeper into the amazing world of deepfakes. And let's think about deepfakes and rehabilitation. So, and here we make the categories physical and psychological. So let's start with physical. If you have, for example, an accident, a car accident, and you are kind of temporarily paralyzed, it's proven that the connections in your brain are the same connections who are triggered, the same stimuli triggered if you see stuff happening. So if you combine the real physical therapy, the physiology, the kidney stuff, if you combine it with watching yourself, your body, moving around, and this can be generated with deepfakes. But the same as physical and fast psychological. If you don't have a job, to see yourself day and day and day performing a job. Let's going again to the example of the car accident. You are physically, you are completely okay, but you don't dare to go into your car anymore, or you don't dare to go into a car anymore. If you continue to see yourself driving in the car, of course, generated with deepfakes, yeah, this can be an integral part of the rehabilitation. So I walked 700 miles in July. It's not true. It's AI. So we're going to the thing of deepfakes in combination with motivation. Images of you and the house you want to live. I'm kind of spiritual, even as a developer. And I know India is also one of the reasons I really love Asia and India about some of the spiritual visions, like, yeah, believe in yourself. I think it's better there than in the Western. So love to speak to you. So living yourself again and again and again in the house you want to live. Imagine if you are an aspiring public speaker, imagine of yourself speaking for an audience. And of course, we need a news flash for yourself. When you reach your goals, of course, you didn't reach it yet, but in the preparation to mentalize success for really realizing your goal. Of course, that should be adjusted and should be for you alone. I think like, on the ethical part, you can generate it. Um, you can Okay, you can generate it, by example, saying for yourself, seeing yourself, like you say, reach your goal. But you shouldn't publish it to the broader world, of course. Yeah, that shouldn't make sense. But for yourself, seeing this, I think it is a great thing. And then let's go into deepfakes in combination with therapy. The voice is not clear, is it? First of all, I see somebody saying that they like my accent, and now it's not clear anymore. It is not clear at all. Has it changed it in the last minutes? What's happening? Maybe I just need to move a little bit with my mic. Is it better right now? Okay, so it shouldn't be on my end. Okay, I just continue my talk. So deepfakes in combination with therapy, trauma exposure therapy. So there are people went to a bigger trauma, and they can have post-traumatic stress syndrome. Sometimes the therapy combining with going to the trauma again will not be possible. A lot of time it will not be possible. But if you can do it, of course, in combination with the therapist, with a deep fake version of the traumatic experience, That's really a methodology that works for people, the thing of exposure therapy. But it's logical that it's too scary and even sometimes in some situations unethical to go to some traumas in real life again. But also personal growth. So without trauma, just other therapy, people, personal growth, behavior training, seeing always in different circumstances, doing the right things as opposed things. So I do believe that deep fakes can be there for the better. But now we talk about co-pilots. We moved from deep fakes, we're going to co-pilots. Co-pilots are a great productivity tool. But the same concepts can also use for personal and work life of people on the autism spectrum, people with dyslexia, and people with learning disabilities. Let's dive a little bit deeper into Copilot for the better. So it's a thing that repetitive task can be some people at autism great, but for other people can be very, very boring. Can we help with that? Can we automate the right things? Can we assist with planning and administration? Can we assist with grocery shopping? It's for a lot of people at autism and even myself not always easy from going from an idea of a recipe you want to cook and to the concrete shopping what you really need to make that recipe. The same for public transport. And for public transport, I played already a lot with the GPT technology, really asking which bus. I don't need it, but I know a lot of people with autism have severe disabilities choosing the right public transport and choosing the right connections. So there's really stuff that really inspired me to research, to investigate what can we do. Dyslexia, helping with writing. As I said, dyslexia has nothing to do with your intelligence about topics you can write. It has to do with how you write it, with your spelling. So, but I can also have some revising and assisting with planning. But those time already happening, I think it's via a human assistant at this time. But I don't know, but it's very, very interesting. But my favorite writer has dyslexia. And I love the idea of a writer, something that you really don't link with dyslexia, but it exists. And I think with co-pilots, stuff and AI, we will see more, for example, writers with dyslexia. It's amazing because those people can have amazing ideas without the capacity to form the right words. The same of planning, summarizing of a document. And let's go to the learning disabilities for the co-pilot. Exercises, exercising the money concept, for example. Assisting with real concrete plans for household jobs, also transport, and also being a safeguard. And maybe it can help also, as I said, are there any taboos with overprotecting parents? Maybe a safeguard can be a layer in between. It can help that people are sure, like the parents, that nothing goes wrong, that the people are safe, but also give them always little bit by little bit additional freedom and quality of life, external dependencies. And I don't know how many people here in the room, in the virtual room, that saw my first talk, but in my first talk that you still will be able to see because I will share the resources. I talked a lot about chatbots. I even talked about a chatbot Lisa system. And I was really ranting about chatbots. 2021, 2020, 22. Look right now, what the magic that we have in our hands. Crazy with those chat GPTs and all the world. But we need to use it for the better. And we are not there yet. You cannot ask everything to those kind of machines. And there need to bake in layers in between. Even Microsoft has already ethical layers, and OpenAI has layers. Every company, I think Google Bart is the same, has layers. But if we really want to create magic for very great stuff for people with disabilities, we will need to add extra layers and also combine it with real life data of those specific people. then we can really configure and fine tune crazy stuff, to be honest. And so this is really adapting those models, infusing with life information about their own life. Also keep it private, that not the whole other will need to go what they're talking to. But also, it's already there already without too much even without too much adjustments. A lot of people with autism, and I'm some in the past and still not still at this time, we may ask different times again and again and again. And that is annoying for a lot of people. If you get the same question from the same person, let's say 5 times, 10 times, chat assistance, I love it. And it can also give more reasoning. A lot of time people with autism also just need more reasoning about topics. It will do it. It will reason as much as you want. And as I said multiple times, confirming concepts. Mental health, giving confirmations. But also something, or something, I say not somebody, I say something. Um, it can listen to you, but respect. And it can be therapy for those who cannot go to a psychotherapist. Oh my God, that is taboo. Of course, everybody should be able anyway. In a perfect world, all people can go to a psychotherapist, or they are even not needed psychotherapist. But to be honest, we all knowing that we are not living in a personal world. And if it's due to financial restrictions, due to limited capacity, or due to traumatic experience with previous therapists, we are not living in a perfect world. It can be a linker in between. Although it's taboo, sometimes you need to break taboos. And then if we talk about chat assistance in combination with learning disabilities, explaining societal concept and other jargon. So you can explain stuff, like say, explain as to a kid, or explain this concept to 5 years old, but also rehearse for those people needed words and jargon and training into historic information. I will not recap this talk. You saw a lot, let's say very short. I started with talking about disabilities, then I showed about some Azure OpenAI, then I talked about some general purpose technology, then I really talked a little bit more about difficulties and concepts those people may have, and I gave you a big part of 20 minutes of inspiration to build. So as I promised, the resources already for this talk is the end. It's already there, the slides. Of course, I don't have the recording yet. And I make some rebrand list, rebrand. So go.ddso.be. If you go to AI for the Better or AI for the Better slides, it's for the first time. This, as I said, is really, really important. Also, where I talk about text to speech and image recognition. So this talk is definitely not a replacement. So people wanting the resources, you can find this offline. And we have, I first of all, I thank you for listening. I see loads of people attending. Oh my God, it's awesome. And as I said, I have quite some time to continue the conversation and try to answer some specific questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denny, for the session. I think we went over a lot of things, and if there is any question, that'll be great. We have some time, and you can ask the question directly to him.
I see people liked it. He loved it. But I don't have concrete questions. Maybe this concept is for a lot of people brand new, I think. Maybe it need to be, I see even affirmative. Okay, great, valuable, great.
If there is any question for Denny to explain, that'll be great to so that he can everybody gets the information. So the certificate link I will share it in the chat box, and you guys can fill it out and get it in your inbox. Apart from that, if there is any session related question, please do ask in the chat box. Since Denny is here, he's waiting for the questions to come up in the chat box so he can answer to it.
I see a question here. But in your point of view, which tools of all the AI tools shows which of them will help you with people with disabilities? I just saw in this open AI server, I showed already a lot of concepts. These things you can already use. You can already ask, by example, questions to GPT. You can already train models customized, by example, to learn concepts like money. You can create deep fakes for a great purpose. And then in the first talk I made, but I shared also my slides with the link of the recording of and the slides of the first talk. Then you really see, like example, text to speech, just AI in general, what it can do for people who cannot read. I think we can combine a lot, but if you explain stuff, and if you combine, for example, the GTP stuff, even for people, for example, with learning disabilities who cannot read, you can change stuff, and together you can change the output of GPT also with the text-to-speech engine. So all these tools can already be all these tools can already be automated into a workflow that's helping those people or customized to help those people. So I hope this answers your question. I see I had a raised hand, but maybe it's gone again, the raise of hand.
Okay, guess everybody's not having any more questions.
Okay.
If that's the case, we can wind up. Let's wait a minute because people might be typing it up the question. It may take
Mm-hmm.
some time to get it here. So let's wait a minute and see if there is any question, or if else we can wind up the session.
Oh, I love the question. What is your position on AI regulation, and who has authority to regulate AI? Oh, a very ethical question. Um, let's say, I think you can imagine there is no short answer. Sometimes an answer is not that short, and it shouldn't be answered very short. I have I shouldn't say the misfortune, I already say it in the way of I shouldn't say, but to live in Europe where they're really talking about the new European not accessibility, AI law regulation, what we are seeing there right now, and just for all the world, I think it will be the same. We need to be sure that decision makers, so law enforcers, people who make the laws, politicians, that they have the, the knowledge about the technical part. The worst thing that can happen, and also the worst thing I have a feeling that's happening right now, is politics, so decision makers from politics and tech companies are completely separated. So politicians don't have the knowledge about the whole tech spectrum, so the advantages and the dangers, so the whole spectrum. So I think there should be, I see it as there should be committees. There should be committees with politicians, with really tech people knowing the tech in the committee, but also maybe having societal professionals, those boarding committees making the regulations. And that should be the future, I think. Boards, committees, with politicians, with companies, but also with people scientists, so like psychology, societal problems, those having boards making all together, making the vision. And I have the feeling, or I see, I'm not feeling, I see that it's, at least in Europe, too separated, too much silos. So I would love to see more combined professions and in committees going to direct the future of AI. If it's an answer for you. And please in the chat or please say if you agree with what I'm saying or if I'm overseeing something. But follow up. If AI will be distributed on Web.3 era, will the internet get to regulate AI? Oh my God, I love the question. I think here what we need for Web3 and what we also missing is, thank you, you agree with the previous one. I think other thing is really need, there's also an additional needing. If you're going to Web 3.0, you need to think about one thing more. We need to also distribute more knowledge to way more people that they can also influence the decisions. So then we really need to go, because at this time the internet 2.0 is very, very, it's very, I'm translating a word in Dutch and English in my head. I'm thinking about the word and I need to have it in English. It's very, very, yeah, it's very one single govern point, and not really, but you can see it as a way more, way less distributed than the three. I think knowledge, and advices, and boards again, even more committees, even more boards, because the more you will distribute, the more you will need to have a view about the whole impact. Yeah, challenging times. Thank you. Is the world decentralized? No, no, that's the word that I'm thinking. Yeah, as I said, I had the word. Yeah, I have the feeling the internet at this time is way too much centralized. Even you can see it as decentralized, but comparing to Web 3.0, it's really centralized. So, so it will be decentralized. So to really decentralize it, you will have more panels, more committees. And I also love the idea of being technology optimists. We have at this time a lot of technology pessimists. Yes, in the chat, a lot of pessimists, and especially also people in politics, but even everywhere, they see a part of the view and they are pessimistic. As I said, we need to have both. I'm not saying that a pessimistic view is not needed. It's always there are dangers with AI, to be honest, but there are also positive things. How many people saw today in this talk stuff they didn't know that really make way more possible and way more inclusive, very positive sides of AI. I say, how many people use what I say the jargon deep fakes for the better? I think this says enough. So we need to have more positive, optimistic people also in the book. Maybe some people say we need to have some pessimistics too, but definitely way more optimistic people. And yeah, I see another comment. So board and communication, communication. I think that will be the other thing is AI can automate a lot of boring tasks. A lot of people have, for example, administrative struggle, administration. So we will have more time as people. If we can do this in more thinking and deliberating and considering and communication and talking to each other, the world can be nice. The world will be nice. Reading another question. Very well said. I find AI to be quite useful in digesting information at a level that the user can understand. My question is, at what level should AI intelligence uphold to be useful? At what level should it be dumbed down to control sensitive information for me and distributed? Okay, here I have a point. I think, as I said, I think AI also, it shouldn't be AI or it should be an or thing, AI or privacy. No, let's say the general purpose stuff, like let's say comparing the general end user stuff, like OpenAI. So end user deployments from the bigger clouds. Those should be really be private and only measure the most needed part for security. But I do believe you will need to have companies using those models, fine tune it, and host it as external APIs, as own APIs, and add other things to it. As I said, deploying something in Azure and then deploying it with your own company. And then it should be very, very fine-tuned for specific use cases. Like example, if you are really working for accessibility for people with less literacy, I really should say the level that it should dumb down should be very, very low. So it should be low a lot. And even in custom deployed models, custom baked in your own company, it should contain a lot of sensitive information to help those people. I can imagine, for example, that people with learning disabilities, like Down syndrome, also need, for example, in the AI model, names of their caregivers. That's very personal information. So I do see you can have an implementation as a company really building for those people or for those institutions who can be a customer of you. And it is on private thing you can have the general way of AI working infused with own private data who is not leaking to the internet again. And then for use cases, so I don't see it as a or sensitive information or open. I think we can only talk about general available for everyone from the bigger clouds. That should be comparing with custom host models with own infusing, and then you say if you combine both, you can do everything. And that's also how I envision the future in the way of accessibility and AI. Nice question, to be honest. I love that way of thinking and brainstorming. Other questions in the discussion?
Okay, it seems there is no more questions. Okay, we had a good discussion, I think, and it was
Yeah.
a really interesting question that we had. Um, uh, and I hope I think definitely think that they needed give a reasonable answer to it. So yeah, and yeah, so we are done for today, and I appreciate Denny for taking his time and taking extra time to answer the question, and really appreciate it. And again, all of you who have joined us today, and thank you for joining and taking a time on a Saturday evening, to be joining and taking one of your time today. And we'll be updating the recording pretty soon in the YouTube channel, and be sure to join the community to be getting or participating in our upcoming sessions. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Denny, again for joining.
Thank you very much.